What if achieving everything you've ever wanted in your life all came down to shifting your mindset? This is what we believe at the Mindset Flex podcast. So buckle up and get ready to expand your mind and get uncomfortable. And welcome to this episode. This is your host, Elise, and we also have Erhard here.
Yes, I am here. It is great to be here. This is the podcast where we don't just flex our biceps, but we also flex our minds.
Yes. And today we're going to start with a story. And this story is, I want to say from before we got married. Yes, this is when we went on the road trip and we went down to GYC.
Yes.
So, do you want me to start the story?
Absolutely, babe. You are the best storyteller.
I'm the storyteller. So Erhard calls me up randomly when I'm living in Florida. A little backstory for you. This is 2016. We've known each other since like 2012. And he's like, hey, do you want to go down to this Jesus conference in Texas?
Jesus.
We've gone to this a couple times, actually. It's like a big.
It's like a yearly New Year's Eve gathering for Seventh-day Adventist youth.
Yes. Yeah. And he was like, do you want to go down there? It's in Texas this year. And I was living in Florida and I was just planning on moving back to Cleveland. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm going because I just spent 7 months in Florida. And if we go down to Texas, then we can take a road trip up to Telluride and we can go skiing because I was just in the tropics for 7 months and I am not a tropics girl.
So that would be our first time together in Telluride.
That was our first time together in Telluride. And we went on this road trip that ended up being like 3 weeks long. I left my toiletries bag at home. We got stuck in like snowstorms in Colorado. I mean, it was like, if you want to find out if you can spend the rest of your life with someone, go on a road trip with them.
It was a great compatibility test.
Oh, 100%. And at that time,
all life's situations during those 3 weeks.
And we were like 100% just friends.
100%.
Before that, 100% just friends. So yeah, basically this is the road trip that got us married.
Yeah. So guys, if you are considering getting married, I would suggest a long road trip.
A long road trip.
Very long road trip.
Yes. In the middle of winter, preferably.
With a BMW on summer tires.
Yes. So we're at this Jesus conference and we were like, well, we need some listening material for the ride because we have, we're about to like road trip across the country even more. And there was this CD collection. This is 2016. Like, this isn't even a long time ago. This is only like 5 years ago. But yeah, we're driving my little BMW 2007 5 Series with summer tires and we bought this CD and it was called The Three Angels Message. And we love learning,
Yeah, life is all about learning.
Life's all about learning. We love it. And just for anyone who's listening in, that's like, I mean, I'm sure most people have no idea because we didn't know.
Angels have a message? What?
Basically, it's from Revelation.
Yeah.
So there's a whole segment on the three angels, like the first angel's message, the second angel's message. It's prophecy. Yeah. So you're like dissecting stuff and like, learning new stuff. And we get this CD because we're like, well, we can't wait to learn what the three angels message is.
Yeah, like this is we thought it was gonna be like amazing, like, some deep revelation and prophecy stuff. And I really believe that this CD was packaged incorrectly because when we put it in and started listening to it, it was like, number one, recorded in 1919.
Dude,
like,
not even kidding.
Like, I think 1800s. Like,
1800s.
For real.
At a conference. Like, it was a dude standing up at a conference. And I'm pretty sure we listened for a whole hour.
No, we definitely finished the whole thing. So it was some guy.
Think whatever. It doesn't even matter. I don't remember.
I don't know.
I just remember the beginning.
Okay. This dude was preaching to all of the leadership of the church. Like, I think that's like really key to point out.
Yes, absolutely. Like to the congregation. And he was supposed to talk about the three angels message. And he gets up there and for an hour, he just literally repeats one thing. You know nothing. You guys all came here. You all think you know something and you know nothing. Like, before we can even get into this message, I need you guys to know that you know nothing.
Yeah, it was like an hour of that.
Yeah, and he would like go deeper into that concept. Like, yeah, you're coming here and you're thinking you know this and that. Literally just kept hammering that. And we're looking at each other like.
I'm thinking like, when is the part where we eject this CD and throw it out the window?
And like, when do we what is happening right now? So we actually stopped it. We stopped it and then we like went on with our days and we ended up getting into an argument. But I feel like this was This was later. Like
Yeah,
we were
it was
already
like,
married.
It was like a while later.
Yeah, like so it was a couple months later.
Yep.
And we got into an argument. And in the middle of the argument, do you remember we just had this moment where we like remembered, why don't we go forward with this argument with the concept of you know nothing. You know nothing. Literally from that CD, like from that whole concept and going forward. And we actually like realized we had nothing to argue about because if you go forward, like if you make a decision, I know nothing, then it all of a sudden clears the air for it's like the biggest problem solver in the world. Anytime you're having any issues, just think you know nothing.
It leaves your mind open. Like it literally opens your mind to, number one, hearing somebody else's point of view without, oh, I know what they're going to say. I know how they're going to respond. I know how they're going to react. No, you know nothing.
Yeah. And that takes the assumptions out. And when you don't assume anything, you actually do go into it with an open heart and an open mind. And it literally solved our issue. Like it literally healed our argument. And we were just like, whoa. I feel like I remember feeling embarrassed that I didn't understand that guy's message. Like I had that light bulb moment. And I was like, wow, he was actually very wise because he knew that all of those people were there. They're all big leaders. They think they're the big shots. The big shots. They know everything. And if they can't go in with an open mind, they're done.
Yeah.
And then I experienced this in business. I mean, I've literally worked with big influencers, people that like know what they're doing. And what I do basically is help other people that work social media and tweak the stuff that they do and help them actually make money, because it took me 8 dang years to figure out how to make money on Instagram. And it has nothing to do with the followers that you have, but all these big people, these big influencers, they're actually the hardest to work with and the hardest to help them make more money because they're so closed-minded. They come into it thinking, I know everything. And let me tell you, if they just switch that mindset, if they literally, I mean, I've worked with so many people where I was like, I could actually help add a 0 to your income if you just literally switch that mindset. Because so many people are held back just by that thought, just by thinking in this area, I know everything. And this is something we actually implemented in our life. Like literally that, remember that when we learned this and realized this, everything that we do now and everything that we approach, we literally have this attitude of, I know nothing.
Yeah. Like fresh.
Yeah.
I remember when I worked for the town of Mountain Village, I was working with this guy named George, and he had this ability to work with people for like 3 to 4 months, and then they would literally quit. I was guy number 4.
Yeah.
Right. Like
I
other
remember.
people called me guy number 4 because there was 3 other dudes that literally worked a couple months and then just bounced. And I remember I'm like, man, like I'm here for a reason. Like I need to be a positive impact in this dude's life. And when he would say something that I like didn't necessarily agree with, I literally just shut my mouth and told myself, I know nothing. I'm here to learn.
That's so deep.
This guy's older. This guy knows more than I do, like specifically for this job. I'm the new one at this job. Like I know nothing.
Yeah.
So I had to forget literally all of my construction experience, like literally everything that I knew, and be like, I know nothing.
Yeah. And you were the one that was able to stay.
It solved a lot of our problems.
Yeah. That's so freaking deep. I mean, honestly, that got me to where I am in business too, because I already knew this concept when I started business. And coming into it, starting a new one. I mean, I've started so many since since I started on this journey. I'm pretty sure I started like 5, 6 businesses. Some did awesome, some blew up, some didn't do well at all. But, having been on this journey for the past 8 years of grinding and working really hard and sacrificing and starting businesses. And I mean, I've learned so much that I genuinely don't think I could ever go to school and ever learn half the stuff that I learned from like experience. So now coming into like the 5th business that I'm starting, 8 years later, well, at that time, I guess like 6 years later, it was the hardest thing to let go of everything I knew. And it's not that you're letting go of the knowledge. You're letting go of the fact that you think that that's the only way because that's the way that you know.
Yeah.
Because if you are able to let go of that, then you're open to blowing something up. And I had to change everything when I started this business. Everything.
Yeah, you had to go into it completely accepting the fact that, okay, I know nothing and I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
And that's really hard for people to do because once you achieve a certain level, it doesn't matter with success or with literally anything else.
With anything.
Like once you get to a certain level, you're like, okay, I'm good. And then new information or like you said, little tweaks are almost impossible to penetrate into your mind because you have this wall up like, no, I already know. Like I already know.
This is the way it is. And I mean, gosh, that can literally ruin someone's life.
Oh man.
All the things that you want, I promise you, they're on the other side of I know nothing.
So deep.
Like,
so good.
Imagine for the next few days, like whatever you do, whoever you talk to, like just you talk to a stranger with zero assumptions. Like you literally, before you start talking, you shut your mouth and to yourself, you say, I know nothing.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a life-changing experience.
Oh man, you connect with people on such a deep level if you do that.
Yeah.
Just ask questions.
And
like they tell you where they're from. Oh, what is that like?
Like literally.
Oh, they tell you they're from Pittsburgh. Oh yeah, I know Pittsburgh. That place is pretty shitty.
It's like you got to be fascinated about anything that people say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it really helps connecting with anyone and creating those relationships that take you to places in life. Like, have you heard it's not about what you know, but who you know saying? I mean, everybody has.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that's 100% true. You have to know the right people. But the thing that people are missing, because I know I used to think this way too, is, oh, well, I'm just not lucky enough to know people. I'm not one of those like successful people that like knows enough people. And here's the big thing that you are all missing. And that is you create those relationships. Nobody is born with like knowing all the coolest people. And it's really not about, okay, it's not about who you know. It's about who trusts you. That's it. Who did you earn? Whose trust did you earn? Somebody can literally know you, and that absolutely means nothing. That means nothing. I mean, so many people know people, but no, who are your connections? Yeah. Who are the people that trust you? Because if you got people that trust you, yeah, you can have anything.
Yeah, who can you call that's actually going to pick up?
Yeah. And how do you create those relationships? Not by going into assumptions. So many people literally destroy relationships and put other people down because they have this, I know better than you.
Yeah.
I know better than you. And that's going to destroy you. That's going to destroy your relationships. That's going to destroy your career. If you constantly think that you know something or you know better.
Yeah. I mean, let's just go back to the CD for a second. Literally 45 minutes to an hour of him repeating the same thing in different ways. I mean, that just shows you that our minds are so resistant against accepting that this guy preaching to high level people, literally leaders of the conference, had to repeat it so much. And who knows what percentage of those people actually understood what he was saying. I mean, it took us months to realize. It took us months to realize what like he actually was trying to get across.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I'll be honest, like I fall into this even nowadays where I'm in a conversation, let's say with you, and I'm already like in my head projecting what you're going to say next, what your intention is with the conversation, like all of that. And that's never a good thing because generally it's wrong. And it always comes from a place of like pride. Like it's my pride where I don't really want to drop that and be like, all right, I'm going to look at this as like another human and just take it at that and just remind myself, I know nothing going into this situation and I'm here to like observe and learn.
Yeah. And whenever you go into a conversation with an assumption, it always ends up the same way. And that's never good unless you are assuming good, but I don't want to say assume because you can't just assume good, because if you assume good, then you get disappointed. So you shouldn't be assuming anything at all. Like you should have absolutely no assumptions. But I do think that you should go into conversations, go into meetings, go into whatever situation you're going into with a positive outlook.
Yeah, that's like just the intention of I'm going into this not knowing anything.
Yeah, your intention.
Yeah.
And you should expect a positive environment. Like you should be manifesting that. And I think people underestimate how much their minds can control situations and control conversations. And just like what you're manifesting, which will come down to what you're assuming, right? Like if you're not assuming anything, but you're going into it like with a complete clear mind, like completely clear, completely open to anything, you should have peace in your heart.
Oh, for sure.
You should feel just totally at peace. And that's going to manifest a positive environment, a positive outcome, most likely, because the intention that you bring to the table, the heart and the attitude,
the energy,
it shows. It will show in your face. It will show in your eyes. It will show
the tone of your voice,
100%. Your body language. And we underestimate that. But you don't realize that when you go into a situation, assuming that you know something, assuming that what you know is truth, you're actually projecting that with your everything, like just as a human showing up. And you might literally have the power to turn a conversation that could have been positive to negative.
Yeah. I mean, if you go into a conversation, especially with somebody who has opposing views than you do, your facial expressions, your body language will instantly mirror to that person that you're not even paying attention to what they're saying. You're not even accepting what they're saying. You're literally just waiting for your turn to give them a piece of your mind.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have anything else to say on this.
I got something to say.
Okay.
I know nothing.
I know nothing too. And I guess that's what I want to challenge every person that's listening to this with is today, whatever situation you go into, whoever you start talking to, literally tell yourself and believe it. Don't just say it. Like you got to believe it.
You got to believe it.
So embody the fact that you know nothing and watch your life freaking change.
Go into it thinking, man, this is another human that has a completely different life experience that could potentially give me nuggets of gold for my life. Yeah, one time I was in New York City with Danny and Peter, and man, would you think that a homeless dude on the street in New York, not wearing a shirt, dirty, smelled really bad, he was holding a water bottle filled with water and ketchup and he was just shaking it. Would you think a person like that, just from looking at him, would be able to give you good advice?
I mean, I would say no.
Okay, yeah, I would say no. But we had a conversation with him and something that he said is literally still with me today. And what he said was, everything that you need to know is already in your head.
Wow, he said that.
He said that.
Yeah.
That's deep.
And you were receptive to it. You listened.
I mean, at the time, I'm like, wow, that's pretty profound for somebody on the street to tell me. But now looking at it, like, if I choose to have the I know nothing mindset, any conversation I have could be one that impacts my life for the positive.
Yeah.
And that's what it all comes down to.
The yes. I know nothing, you know nothing, and you guys know nothing. So go out with that mindset today. Make that your challenge to go into any and every situation and any and every conversation with that mindset. And I hope you guys make the rest of your lives the best of your lives. We'll see you in the next episode.
I know something. This podcast is over.
It is.